Hey there, commercial construction coffee talk fans. Thanks for chiming in. My name's David Corson. I'm your host. I'm also the publisher and editor of Commercial Construction and Renovation Magazine. This is what it used to look like. We're digital now, but actually, this was the last issue I printed, and this was August of 2021. Uh, Mike Guine, Vice President of Operations Services, White Castle. Very cool. They got the best hamburgers in the world, especially at 2 in the morning when you're getting out of the concert or whatever. They're the best. You got to get the 10 pack, spicy chicken. That's my kids and my favorite. But anyway, this was the last issue we printed and been digital since. And it's been an amazing ride from print face to face to digital. And but we appreciate Mike being on the cover. This was the largest facility that they had ever built, and we got the scoop on it. But don't miss the printer, don't miss the post office. And last month I had 6.5 million people hit the website, about 360,000 unique users. And last year we had just under 49 million people hit the website consuming content. So thank you for everybody out there on the Wild Wild Web that found us. And at the rate I'm going this year, I don't know, maybe I might go over 80 million. I don't know. It depends. Maybe Google will change the algorithms and I'll have to, figure things out and keep the momentum going. But it's been a wild, wild, crazy ride. And there's 8 billion people on the planet. They're gonna look for stuff, and why not look at it for you or for me? So it's been truly amazing. Uh, Time is flying by. It's Memorial Day weekend next weekend. We're almost halfway through the year. I got some humidity finally starting to come in. I was running last night. I came home drenched. I do about 5 or 7 miles a day. And my wife goes, "Oh my God, you're soaked." I'm like, "This is the first day we really had humidity." The pollen came in last month here in Atlanta, and now it was so nice. And the humidity, I think, is starting to come in. And for the dog days of summer, which are coming up June, July, and August. But all in all, it's been a great week. Finishing my house up on the lake and gotten sod putting in today. Get my fence in. I'm going to go for my certificate of occupancy tomorrow. Got a contract on my house that I'm living in now. Put it up for sale on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Had a showing at 1, had a showing at 3, 2 on Mother's Day, and then another person came, and we had 3 offers. And yeah, and we accepted one of them. So huge lift off my back. And now I've got to look to get packed and move up on the lake. And I think I close on June 9th. So I've got about 3 weeks to get things done. And I've already told my wife, if you haven't touched anything in 3 years, we're getting rid of it because yeah, declutter. I want it to look like a surgical center when we go up there. But what an exciting time. Took me almost 10 months to build that house, our first ground up. And I'm going to feature it in the magazine, our residential construction remodeling section, in a couple issues once we get moved in, settled, and get the photographer to come up there. But we are so excited to say that I built that and come from a construction family, and it was a really what an experience. And I thought I knew a lot, and I didn't, but I learned a lot, and can't wait to get our next build going. There's a shortage of homes, and we're going to help alleviate that tension in finding more homes. So, with that. I've got one of my good clients who's been an allied supporter over the years. His name is Patrick Ringlever, and he is the CEO of Interplan. They're an architecture firm down outside of Orlando. Patrick, say hello to our listeners out there on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk.
Hello, everybody. And yes, David, thank you. It's been many, many, many years that we've known each other, all the way back to when you were doing events and summits, and it's been a long time. And it's been a while since I've been trying to get on to here, so I appreciate this opportunity.
Absolutely. What was your favorite event you went to as you look back? I'm thinking it was Houston with the shotgun skeet shooting.
I don't know that I went to that one. We did do one. I
Did you?
think it was in South Florida somewhere, and we got on a fishing boat, and it was one of my favorite events because I caught a ton of fish. So
Oh yeah,
that's always a
yeah. Maybe it
win.
was Tampa. I don't.
Yes, I
Maybe it was
think it was
Hilton. I
actually.
forget.
Yeah.
Anywhere we did water, if there was fishing, we did it.
Yep.
But I think you know what, Patrick. I think you were in Houston. We did it out by the Galleria, and I'm pretty sure you're there because I still have all those videos on my channel. And you're sitting in front of the fireplace talking. second.
You have a really good memory.
So I'm pretty sure you were in Houston, but anyway, you listen. You've been a great supporter. Interplan. We featured a couple of your clients in the magazine, and we've seen your firm grow. You've come through the ranks, and now you're the captain of the ship, and you've done an awesome job. So kudos to your effort and your desire. And listen, if you have the right frame of mind and you have a vision, and everybody buys into it, everybody prospers. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
It's been a wild journey, and it wasn't something that was ever truly on my radar to be in the role that I'm at here at Interplan. But I'm grateful to be here, and what my team has been able to accomplish over the last 5 years as we've taken this company to a new level has been really cool, and I look forward to be able to share just some of the challenges and journey that we've been on.
Well, listen, the people I deal with, Rachel and you and everybody else, you got a good team down there, and you've done an awesome job in building it. And you just got to take one day at a time, stay positive. You either win or you learn, and apply it and keep on going. So, like I said, I've been around for 25 years and I'm still standing. As long as I don't get arthritis or go lose my eyesight, I could probably do this forever. But I got the builder bug in me, and I told my wife, I said, we bought this land in 2020 up on the lake. And I said, look, if we're gonna build this house, we're gonna do it. You need it for your portfolio. You've done a ton of basements and bathrooms and kitchens and remodels. We need to do a self build. And nothing against the contractor, but I didn't want to pay someone to be a babysitter. We needed to do it. And it was awesome. And learned so much. And I'm gonna go get my contractor's license as soon as I get moved. And we're gonna. I've got a couple leads on a couple new homes. Barn dominiums are the big rage right now down here in
Hmm.
the South. I don't know about Florida, but down here, everybody and their mother. And I'm gonna feature one here. Is it this month coming up or the next month? I don't know. It looks awesome, and they're like Southern ranches, but they're barns, and
Huh.
it, it's weird because they build the foundation and then they pour the concrete versus pouring the concrete and then the sticks and frames go up. So
Yeah.
kind of a different way of building it, but they look awesome and it's in the rage in this, in the southern half of the United States here. And but
Well, I
uh
just give you kudos for you designing and building a house with your bride and
yeah.
having her be the interior designer.
Hey,
Um,
we've been together for 33 years and she was an interior designer, and she was in mortgages and refi and all that, but she really her thing was, color and fabric and so what was wild was, she had a flooring person, an electrician, a plumber, and a millwork guy, all the people for the interior, but we had to go find a grader, we had to find a concrete, a framer, a roofer, all the guys for the big nuts on the job. But then once we got the house dry, her team came in. We didn't have to babysit. They knew that what she wanted done. And we took turns, like today she's up there. I'm doing my gig and tomorrow I'll go up and we're finishing up. But uh it's I thought we were going to get divorced when we were going to
mm.
take the project on, but we're still married. And I just learned that it's 95% negotiable. She's right and I'm wrong. The only time that I would open up is like, I really don't like that color. I have to be honest with you. I don't like that color. Can we go with something else? It's a little
You're a
too,
wise man.
but if you want to go that way, it's going to be happy. Go for it. I'm not worried about it. But really, actually, it wasn't really. She designed the project. She bought the land. I did all the tough stuff. I went through the permitting process. I'm going to go take the test to get the license, and uh, but it was awesome. And the biggest thing was, you know, I'm when I once it's done and we're moved in, I can say I built that. And
Yeah.
I build it. Listen, I'm a builder. I build a magazine every month. I used to do it with paper, postage, and everything, but now I do it
Building a
with
magazine
digital.
and building a house is two very different things, David.
Believe it or not, it's getting the right people to do it, and
That's
then the
true.
right type of products and so forth, software. But really, it's like I'm like a multi-unit retailer out there that's building stores. They all don't look alike, but you know where everything is, and I build it every month, and every month I look at the map, even though I don't hold it. When I look at it, I'm like, wow, that looks really cool. And we try to reinvent ourselves every month, but the house bugs got into me, and thoroughly enjoy. I have a great crew of subs, and if you treat your subs right, and you don't nickel and dime them, and you feed them here and there, and you pay them for what they're worth, because everybody's trying to find subs. You don't want to lose them. If you keep them happy, they will do a good job for you. And it's really about people, because you can't do it all yourself. You just can't. And I don't care what business you're in. Your people are your most important things. And she was like, well, why don't you hang the 27 doors? And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to hire someone that does it every day. So they flow nice. They're not going to be, off and getting stuck. I'll put the hardware in, but the doors themselves, let someone do it. That's a professional. And
Yep.
but we took video. We have an ebook that we're going to put out, and but it was very, very exciting, and we're down to the wire, and it's going to be really, really exciting. So, and I and
Cool. Can't
I,
wait
I
to see
hope to.
pictures.
Oh yeah, no, it's going to be great. So, um, this is the way we're going to do it. You're going to tell your story, and we're going to talk about trends, and maybe your new office and some cool projects that you've done, and then you're going to leave your contact info. So with that, the floor is yours, Patrick. Tell us your
Mm,
story. You know it better than anybody.
okay. Well, I've never done one of these before, so hopefully I don't ramble on too much. I
No,
guess
you're
a good
doing
place
great.
to start is to share where I came from. So I was actually not born in the United States. I was born in Holland and brought up speaking Dutch, lived in Holland, however, for only 1 year. And then my family moved to Ireland, and I spent most of my childhood in Ireland until I was about 11 years old. And from there, my family moved to Florida, and I eventually attended the University of Central Florida for both my undergrad and graduate degrees. So that's kind of the quick journey to get me to where I got in while I was going through the universities. And I worked my way through school, always believing that just the right opportunity would come if I stayed open and just worked really hard. Not really sure in which direction I was going to go in the business field. My graduate degree was business management with a focus in marketing. And while I was going through grad school at the University of Central Florida, I worked at a local restaurant and really just was trying to stay open to learning from a lot of the people that I came across, understanding how they got to where they were in their fields. And really, it was my first networking job, honestly, because I knew I wanted to get into the business environment. The restaurant was a means for me to get through school. And in 2006, there was two life-changing moments that came about. One, I met my wife, who was also working at the restaurant. We opened the restaurant together. It was a new restaurant that opened up. And then I also met the owner of Interplan there, who was a regular, frequented all the time, and he asked if I would be interested in joining the business development team at Interplan. So knowing that I had a focus in marketing for my graduate degree, seemed like a good fit. So I seized the opportunity and joined Interplan almost 19 years ago. And so that's
Wow.
really how I started at Interplan and haven't really looked back since then. We've been married for 19 years with my wife, and we have four kids together, ages 12, 11, 10, and 4. They keep us very busy with all the sports and different things. And my wife homeschools, so she's full-time mom and all the different activities that we get to do, which is incredible. And then also being able to be at Interplan as the CEO, which is where I've been in this role since 2019. So I started in business development in 2006, but really just worked my way through the company, fell in love with the industry of architecture and engineering and what we get to do every day by creating everyday architecture, and just focused on serving all the departments and the clients that I had. And so you might be wondering, okay, well, how do you get from business development to CEO of the company? And again, it was never anything that I had foresaw for myself. And we had a huge shift in leadership coming with legacy leaderships getting ready for retirement. And David Boyce, who is the then CEO, offered me an opportunity. I'll never forget it. He took me out to lunch and said, I'm going to be retiring in a few years, and I'd love for you to take over as CEO of the company. And I kind of looked behind me like, did you take the right person out to lunch?
Yeah.
But I was honored, and he obviously saw many things in me. Some of them I wasn't quite sure of what yet, but I rose to the occasion and accepted the opportunity in 2019. And really, from then on, was on a mission to figure out how I can make sure that I live up to the expectations and the responsibilities that had been assigned to me starting in 2019.
Well, hey, listen, there's no better time than the present to take something else on. And the coolest thing for someone that always promoting within, in my opinion, is the best way to do it because you know what the corporate culture is. And I mean, I didn't have publishing experience when I went into my publishing career. I was in food. My father's side was in upholstery furniture. My mother's side was in demolition construction since 1888, still in business, fifth generation. And I gave up all the family businesses. I was doing my gig, and I had sales experience, and I ended up, hooking up with this publisher that had Global Shop, and we had some magazine. And I launched my retail book, and then Nielsen bought us, and then right after 9/11, the bean counters whacked about 50 or 60 magazines out of the portfolio. My little construction magazine got the axe, and I kind of knew how I wanted to run my company, and so I just went out on my own. Everybody told me, "Don't do it, don't do it. You could retire here." And I remember sitting with the president of Nielsen in his office, and I just said, "I'm going on the road to Texas. I'm going to go meet with Radio Shack and a couple other brands and some vendors. When I come back, you got to make a decision." And they thought I was bluffing. And they came back, and I said, "Are you going to sell me the magazine?" They said, "No." I said, "Here's my resignation." I left December 17, 2001, and here I am, at the end of May almost in 2025, and you know, rode the pits and valleys of business, and what an exciting way. But what the coolest thing is that what your owner saw in you, he saw in himself. And if you want to have longevity for your company, because eventually the day is going to come where you're going to, want to retire and take it easy or take a less of a leadership role, is replacing yourself that with someone that has the same type of mental vision or mindset, and has all the qualities of being a leader. And that's what that person saw in you. So even though
Yeah.
you didn't see it, he did. And it's like my son. He was like, when are you going to hire me to work for, your publishing firm? And I said, when you go out and get fired 4 or 5 times, all right, and go work for someone else, because you got to go out and make and learn and see what you like and what you don't like. And he's an FAA mechanic right now, but I didn't know that at the time. But I told him, hey, you got to go work. He worked in a restaurant, he worked in a garage, he did all these things, and and now I look back, and it would have been great to have him there with me, but he wanted to work with his hands, so that's what
Hmm.
we did. But going back to your boss, that there were probably other people that he was thinking about you, but there was something in there that he saw that took me said, I'm going to take him out to lunch because I want the firm to go. And you had whatever you had, you took it, and look what you've done. You just opened a new office in Chicago, right?
Yeah, we did, which is kind of the cherry on top of a 5-year journey. And you're right. One thing that the leadership and specifically um, David had always said, which is hire for character, you can train them the skills. And I think that's what he was leaning into because I maybe didn't have the skill set as a CEO, but I had the time to prove the character. And I think that's really where he was focusing in on. And that's something that as a company we've really leaned into. And you also mentioned from promoting from within. I've carried that through because that's my story. And there's so many others in our company, whether it's our HR manager that we have, our business development manager, all of 100% of our department heads and senior leadership all came from within the company who are working on projects, most of them even just starting at coordinator level. So um, I love that about Interplan, and I think it's a testament to really what you've always heard, which is there's no growth when you're in the comfort zone. And I was definitely very uncomfortable with presented with that opportunity. But it also, put me on that relentless pursuit to live up to those expectations. And so starting in 2019, our company had an incredible legacy and history, been around for, it was 48 years at that time, but we lacked something that was really foundational, which was, believe it or not, a clear vision, mission, and set of values. So as a company that had been around that long, we did not at that time have stated vision, mission, and values. And so I felt like that really was one of the biggest things to start to tackle early on before we could really start to truly do anything transformational within the company. It had to start with defining our brand story and telling it in authentic ways and making it true. And so that's really what happened in 2019. I brought in some consultants to kind of help us work through who we think we are and aspirationally who we are. Did a lot of focus groups within the entire company over a period of really 10 months to try and get their feedback. And then we sat in a room for 3 days and we defined our brand story. And then we spent the next year really trying to make sure that we incorporated into every aspect of our business. So that was an exciting journey. And then I felt really great about where we were as a company. And then, that first year as being in this seat, COVID hit. And that was hard because all of a sudden, we're working on culture. And I'll never forget sitting in the office and I had a corner window and looking out, and there was just employees that were walking out the door with monitors under their arms and plans draped over their arms. And I just thought to myself, I'm like, this doesn't feel real. Like we've done so much work to come together as a company, build our culture, and we are all dispersing. And kind of tears streamed down my face because I just felt like this is going against everything that we're looking to build. But we had to do what we had to do, and we shortly ended up coming back into office after that. And it's been an amazing journey since then. So yeah, it was a rough start into 2020, but I think it really ingrained a lot of things for me.
Hey, look, when I look back, 2020, I just had my 10th anniversary summit in Jacksonville. We had the most people attend. We did our first cocktail party. We were in Coconut Grove at an outdoor shopping center that was getting redone. And I think I was up in March, up in Milwaukee, when Tom Hanks got the bug and March Madness got canceled, and I was supposed to fly that weekend to watch Ohio State play DU on the lacrosse field in the Horseshoe in Columbus, and uh, everything got shut down. And they said, "Oh, it's going to be a couple weeks," and
Uh,
then it was a couple months, and then depending on what state you were, regulations when they were going to open, and you were in Georgia, I'm in Georgia, you were in Florida, so we kind
yep,
of were in the right kind of states for that open, that semi-closed but opened. And but so many people had the same thoughts that you were, watching your people walk out, and you had to figure out a way to keep your company culture even though they were going to be, remote.
that's
And
right.
the
Well,
people,
you know what? And that presented an opportunity because it really showed me that we were able to thrive through that. And in fact, it did define our culture in an even deeper way because we had to really lean into that more. There was things that I put in place in the company, whether it was, I put in a weekly report that we put in because everyone went remote. Dave Ramsey's company, Entree Leadership, they had issued out this weekly report tracker where it allowed us to every week, people would fill out this, on a dashboard, what their high, their low, and any feedback that they want to give, and smiley face from green to red, and it allowed me to be able to review the entire company every Monday morning just to see how everyone was feeling, any comments that they had. And I felt more connected with our company, even though we had all gone remote than I had ever had because of, we had to innovate and figure out ways to do this. And we've carried that through ever since then. We never got rid of that. On Monday mornings, I get to go through the entire weekly report of the entire company and just get a real feel for how the company's doing. I get to hear about people's kids and I get to really connect with them, which then leads me into one-on-one conversations, or we're sitting at the break room. I can, lead into things that they've shared. So that's been really cool. And things like that are the shining light that came out of some of those difficult moments.
you know,
Um,
I've talked to so many people over the last, 5 years, and uh, I just bought my mic. I was going to go do these interviews on when I was on the road. I was going to do them at the construction sites and do my podcast there, and I had never done it before, but I can yak. So I was like, oh, I'll just grab the microphone. I'll go do some, do them on the construction site. That sounded cool. And then boom, everything stopped. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna. I don't know. I got a background, and I went. I listen. I was awful. I still listen. I laugh at myself still, but when I look back, I'm like, hey, I was having fun.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that I saw with everybody that had a discussion, it didn't matter if they were a brand, a contractor, a service provider, whatever they were. Uh, the people that can make the quick change, and they found out that they can trust their people. They don't have to be in the office, that they can get things done. Some people have to be in the office. They're just not built to work at home. And I mean, my staff, we were all virtual, so it didn't really bother me. But uh, all the people that I talked to, they said, God, I found out that they're about more about my company, who were the weak links, who were the leaders, and we maintained our company culture the best that we could. And then as we came back, the toughest thing was getting people back in the office. They want to go to the beach, they want to go to baseball games, they want to go to rock concert, but they don't want to come back to the office. How do you leverage that, with maybe a hybrid schedule or whatever it might be? But the biggest thing was that they found out that there's more to life than just work. And if you can have that work-life balance and be able to trust your employees that they can get things done. People said that they were just more productive because they didn't have the jibber jabber at the water cooler or all that stuff. And then when you
Yeah.
had meetings, they went much shorter, and it was, getting down to business. And it was just all these stories that I heard, they all had that same theme was, hey, we're going to make it. I believe it. We just have to figure out the right way to do it. And then once things settle down, we're going to be that much, ahead of time. Now, these days, technology's, going at warp speed. So anything you learn today, 6 months from now, might be outdated, with AI and everything else that's
Yeah.
going on. But it was so, the biggest thing was people would tell me, hey, I had some of the best years in 21, 22, 23, 20, I could have better years if I could have had more superintendents or project managers to cover the projects. And you never, and being in this field that you don't want to bite off more than you can chew because you got to deliver. And delivery is at the top of the most important thing because everything is set for the circulars for the retail store to open up, and you back it up your construction schedule and your design and when plans are done, but the most important thing that people they just said was that they trusted their people, and the ones that they
That's what you said is a key thing there. The trust of their people. And one of the things that I felt as the hardest thing to do when you're leading a company is that you have a vision for where the company's going. And you can state this is what your culture is and your vision, mission, values. But as I've always heard, vision leaks and values drift. And then you have your department managers and you have your, studio leaders and then your production team. And they may all be having very different realities of what the company culture is because you can say it up here, but how does it get threaded throughout? And that's been the biggest opportunity and I think moment we've had to really ingrain it in a deeper way. And I think the coolest thing that I was able to implement, and in my role, I feel like I am not the best at any one thing, but I feel like the gift that I've been blessed with is being able to see and utilize people who are industry experts in various fields and bringing them in at the right time. And so one example was I brought in a team of organizational psychologists um, that I had partnered with as a consultant. We worked with them for 3 years to really, like I said, to make it we state what our vision, mission, values are, but then we wanted to make it true. And emotional intelligence, as you've heard, is one of the key things to have in the business world today. But it's one of the hardest things to come by because it's not necessarily natural for everybody. So these people worked actually at NASA for many years as organizational ecologists there and then went off on their own. And so it was really cool to work with them to help all layers of our company level up our emotional intelligence because at the end of the day, we talk about it often here. It's more than just architecture and engineering. What we do is really cool, but everything that goes on while we're creating plans, designing projects, and going in for permitting, the interactions that we have with each other is so key to our overall work-life balance and happiness is the relationships that we have here at work. So I'm like, if we can figure out how to kind of level up our emotional intelligence so that the conflict resolution and defensiveness and all of those things are at a minimal, we can navigate through anything. So that's why I started out saying transformational change could only happen when we got these things right, because then we can deal with operational improvements and strategic growth because we are all at our best self. And so that was really cool to have people understand from the inside out, how do we show up every day to our meetings and to our interactions with each other and with our clients? There's tough things that happen on a daily basis. We got really tight deadlines and we got project issues that can come up out of nowhere and jurisdictional challenges. To be able to navigate through that as highly intelligent, emotional intelligent people is a huge win. And I'm so proud of how the team has taken to that and where we've come because I think that's a huge contributor to where Interplan is in the industry because of the amazing team that we have at that level.
The captain drives the ship, Patrick. You should take all the you can be hey, I don't deserve the credit, but that's just the way that I am. But I know who's driving the ship, and without someone driving the ship, it can't be, given to the deckhands and the cook and the engineer driving the motors and there's all these integral parts that everybody has their part, but there's someone that's got to guide it. And you
Sure.
know, so you've done a great job, and uh, and once again, all the things that you did before, living in Holland, then Ireland, and then come to the States, and then working in the restaurant, and then you met the Interplan. You never know who you're going to meet, and
Hmm.
it's all about communication, being flexible, negotiable, maintaining if you talk to someone that they remember you, even though if it's maybe
Yep.
talking to the UPS guy at the store. Hey, that guy he had a smile on his face. He was positive. He must love his job or whatever he does. And it's addicting. And people want to be around positive people and people that want to
Yeah.
get things done. And
We
uh,
we have a sign in our lobby, and I put it in there a few years ago, and it's a big neon sign. It's got really cool moss all around it, and it says "Kindness matters."
oh yeah.
And it's right there in the lobby when you come in through that. And I always joke, for those who are being unkind in that day, we have to go sit there and take a picture in front of it. I've never really done that, but it is a reminder, really, to myself every day when I come in here, what it is that we're setting out to do. Again, we do architecture and engineering, but everything that goes on while we're doing that is really what matters and kindness matters. So that's a huge mantra that we have in our business too. Because like you said, it's how do we show up and really see people for who they are? I do this cool thing every other Friday. It started the first time we moved into this office because we moved in the middle of 2021 into a big brand new office we got to design from scratch for Orlando. And I rebranded the company and we got new colors and really just showed that we were, continuing to progress. And I started it by doing a big Friday huddle because we have a bigger space, which is our hub where we have all of our lunch and our speaking engagements now. And you may have seen it on some of the LinkedIn posts because I like to post a lot of them where I get to get up there every other Friday and we just celebrate wins. I get to bring clients in and they get to tell their story, whether it's a franchisee who comes in. For me, it's about connecting the work that we're doing to the team that's working on it each and every day. And so whether I get to have a franchisee who comes in and shares about how he just sold his house in Utah. This is a true story. It's a cookie franchisee, not to be named, but there's only a few that are out there. And he came in and I was like, I just want you to tell your story to the people so they know why they're staying at 5 o'clock to try and get their deadline in to get the plans submitted because they know on the back end who's counting on that. And this guy had 3 kids, cashed in his 401k, sold his house in Utah to move to Florida because that was the only area developer that they had for these franchise locations.
Mhm.
And so he was putting everything out on the line. And so it was really cool to be able to have a fireside chat where he got to tell his story and we could have empathy of what really it meant for him when he was asking questions about where his permit was and when it was going to get approved, because now they know what his anxiety level is and what's on the line. which is so different than a few months later. I had a corporate restaurant client come in. They have same concerns, but they're different. Like they're reporting to somebody who's above them, and they have deadlines and shareholders that they need to answer to. Like their their thought process is very different. And again, being able to connect the work that we're doing to the team that's doing it for me is how we were able to lean into one of our values, which is empathy, because empathy is a skill. It's not just something that comes naturally. We have to flex it.
Oh yeah. Hey, listen, everybody out there in commercial construction coffee talk. Uh, I go on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn's the best as far as if you're in business. That's the best place to be on. But I've seen Patrick with a fluffy
Oh gosh.
jacket on, and don't think that this person's shy because I saw him in the white fluffy jacket about 3 or 4 months ago on LinkedIn, right?
We take our work seriously, but we try not to take ourselves too seriously, is what I would
I
say.
know who you are. I laughed my butt off. I was like, "Oh God, man, that picture is gonna live for eternity. Whoever knows it,
Rent
am I
free.
right?"
You're welcome.
Oh yeah, that was a blast. I was like, "Oh, I gotta like this picture, this
We
post."
do have fun here.
Yeah, but you know what? If you're not having fun, go do something else because
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what you're doing. You got to have fun. If you don't, if you're not having fun or if you think you know everything, that's the day you should go do something else because you're just wasting your time and you can't get time back. And I believe in the empathy thing. I mean, I totally do. And I mean, I was a publisher, you know, when I started my company, I knew how I wanted to run it. I knew I knew how to do everything. I knew how to lay a book. I can change the copy. I could take the trash out. I was doing all that. But as I hired people to help me, because I knew there's no I in team. All right, you need people, and as you grow, you want to, you know, get rid of the stuff that's on your plate so you can maintain your focus on the things that you know that's going to grow and drive and scale the business. And the biggest thing was I said, look, you got to like what you got. You can't surround yourself with negative people because it's just like cancer. You want people that want to play in your sandbox. And
Mhm.
if you can get that and get those people to have a vision and, to execute, and they're going to make mistakes. We all make
Yeah.
mistakes. No one's perfect. But
Yeah.
you got to learn from them and then put them up here in your knowledge vault. So when that hindrance or speed bump or pothole comes up again, that you're able to not only jump over it or blow through it, you can do it that much easier. And then the other people are like, wow, did you see what we just did when that happened on that project? And boom, wow, now we can use that at the end.
Yeah.
And then everybody on the team knows it. But by wearing that fluffy, I don't know if it was a jacket, something from Superfly, probably back in the 70s, but I'll remember that, you know?
Yeah.
I had to take a double take. I was like, wow, check it out. He's got the glasses, the blue collar, and
You
I'm
know,
sure
they,
like,
they
oh,
always they always say that, the old thinking is that there's, work is work and home is home and work-life balance. But we are whole people. They are all deeply intertwined. I know for myself, as a father with 4 kids and a wife, like what happens at work comes home with me as much as I want to try and separate it. So I feel, and I think all businesses have a responsibility for their employees to make sure that they are investing in their mental health and well-being because it does translate over to home. Which again, the organizational psychologist is a perfect example. Like those are concepts that I learned so much through that I took home to not only my relationships with my wife and my kids, but also my friendships and my personal relationships to understand how to navigate through receiving feedback from my wife and these things that I hope people also then take back and helps them at home too. So you're right, we are whole people and we can't necessarily separate the two completely. So we have a responsibility to make sure we take care of them while they're here at work.
so 2020 comes, everything stops, we make it through, you get back to the swing of things are going well, you open your Chicago office. Talk about that.
Right. So the Chicago is really where the company started in 1972. It was the first founding office. Orlando did not exist yet, and it was a red brick schoolhouse. Two guys graduated out of college and wanted to venture into the restaurant industry. And so they had a restaurant client that was running a big program that was coming into Florida. And that client asked us to say, hey, look, would you start an office in Florida? So that's how the Orlando office started. But Chicago is where it all began. And so we had been in that office originally since, well, they moved once so from 1976 until this past year, 2020, uh, when did we move in? The beginning of this year, or right before the end of this year, 2024, they were in an office and it was small and it was, we kept expanding onto it. It was kind of cobbled together. So it was really cool to be able to move into a new office, completely redesign it the way we wanted to, have it to be branded with the new branding that Interplan was, implement aspects of our culture. And it was really cool. It was a breath of fresh air. For me, it was a moment to be able to sit back and see the cohesiveness with our office in Orlando, the branding, the design, the feel to be an exact duplicate. They even have their own hub up there where they get to do their own Friday huddles. Like that was really cool for me. And I'm flying up there next week because we're going to do some photography to kind of get some more photos that we can use and stuff like that. So that was really cool.
Hey, going back to your roots and then giving it a facelift, and listen, you had an old building, you reused it, but it had gone to whatever it was, and it was time to get it done. And but at least you got pictures and so forth. I'm sure there's some old pictures of the old office and the new
Oh
one.
yeah.
I mean, that's the way I would do it if I was redesigning. I'd make sure I'd have my heritage or the original guys there and but no, that's an awesome story. Do you have any other expansion plans, in the future or?
Well, we do. We have a Cairo office in Egypt that we launched 3 years ago. We had a really amazing and do have an amazing one of our electrical engineers or senior electrical engineers who've been with the company 15 years wanted to move back to Egypt, and we used it as an opportunity to expand with a Cairo team. So we have 8 people in Cairo as well who function on our time zone. They, work on projects seamlessly and they're on the same network. That's been really cool. So that was 3 years ago. And I could tell you all the challenges and opportunities that came from that, but it's cool to be international in that sense. And they work on we only do US projects, but they're all intertwined. So, and from here, there's more stuff in the works, but can't really talk about too much of that at the moment.
No, no. Hey, listen. I got I got some things on the fire in the frying pans on the stove, and I'm coming out with a couple of things that people are like, "Oh my God, I didn't know he did that," and I'm like, "Yeah." And so, hey, if it, like I said, if I don't get the arthritis or I lose my sight, I can probably do this forever. But I've got the building bug, and I got a couple other things that I'm just about ready to launch, and not in this sector, but applicable to a lot of people and
Cool.
it's exciting when when you have an idea and then you build your plan, you do your research, and then you have your starting point, your ending point, and the journey along. You take your data, you look at it, you finish it, you revise it, you alter it, and then go do it again or
Yeah.
replicate it or tweak it, and as long and like I said, as long as you're having fun, that it makes your days go that much quicker and you have the right people in place that have the right vision, and you've done it right. Like I said, that took chutzpah to wear that outfit, man. And it makes yourself look like you're humble. You know what I mean? A lot of executives wouldn't have done that. You know,
Mhm.
uh, I remember one of my shows. I let people uh, take shots at me at the dunk tank at the exhibitors, and they were all lining up to get me wet, and I was dragging them on. Man, I got wet all day long, man, and that water was cold in the Minneapolis Convention Center,
Yeah.
but it was well worth it because I remember who kept knocking me down. Peter Smith. If you're out there, you put me in that tank all for about 20 minutes straight, man. You were just dunking me. But it wasn't me. It was like, oh man, I got to dunk the publisher, man. We got to get this done. But I had no idea. My meetings planner came and says, "Hey, we got a dunk tank. You're gonna go in it." And I'm like, "Is the water warm?" "No, it's freezing." I'm like, "Thanks." And but all it was great. It was the end of at the end of the show, it's not that busy. People are roaming around. Hey, we just made it fun, but sometimes you got to do that stuff, and
I love
people,
that. Yeah, because it gives an aspect of relatability, and that's
yeah.
key. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, uh, what's your coolest project that you did ever, as you look back, whether it was in your early days or your current days that, that you're really, really proud of?
We are working with, we do a lot of retail and a lot of restaurant, but I think one of the coolest ones we're working on at the moment is it's a high-end restaurant brand that we're working with, and we've been working with for like the last 6 or 7 years. But at the moment, we have a really cool project in Waikiki, and it's a beautiful restaurant. And we're in construction on it right now, but it's been an amazing journey just to be part of it because we just opened one in Miami. I got to go down there for a grand opening for the same restaurant in Fort Lauderdale. We've got several going on. Every one of them is completely different, and it's an experiential brand when you go in there to, and I think that's what people crave nowadays as we talk about industry trends is just being able to go to a place and get immersed in it and just feel like they're uplifted. And I feel like this restaurant brand does it. And I think we've highlighted one or two of them in your magazine for
Oh, I know
industry
who you're talking
companies.
about, but I won't mention who they are, but I know who
Yeah.
they are. Yeah.
But those who want to look, go take a look in some of those. And so yeah, that one we're really proud of because they're beautiful restaurants.
Does
One of
everybody
my
raise
favorites.
their hand and go, "Hey, I'll
Yeah.
do the site visit in Waikiki.
Right.
I'm
Yes,
game for the 8 hour plane
absolutely.
flight. Can I do that? Am I up for
Yep.
travel this week or
Hmm.
right? Yeah, yeah. So
For sure.
yeah. And hey, listen, it's completely different building on the island because everything's got to get shipped in, and
Yep.
it's a different build, even though it's still, sticks and frame, concrete roof, drywall, but it's a different gig because everything, they might have some supplies on the island, but most of it's got to get shipped in. So
Yeah, and just getting the approvals and all that. But thankfully, we have a permitting department of 26 people, and that's all they do. So that has been instrumental in a lot of these projects to be able to just get in there, understand a lot of the upfront stuff, and have a team of people that's just responsible for the due diligence and the permitting and bird dogging, and that's made a difference, especially in the islands.
you know what I like about just in general commercial, which is, to me, our sweet spot, retail, restaurant, hospitality, but we cover everything these days. And I had a client that was, he was in retail and he called me up and goes, "Hey, David, I'm doing a project in, I think it was Honolulu. It was either Maui or Honolulu. I forget. Anyway, he reached out to me, he said, "Hey, I'm building this thing and I'm having issues with permitting and I know so and so at this restaurant brand and they're building a store right along with us, but they're just getting done much further. They're right down the block from us. Could you turn me on to whoever's out there doing that project because I need to get some stuff done." So I
Hmm.
reached out to this person, and sure enough, he was the one that was doing the project. And he goes, "Oh man, I'd be glad to help so and so." In fact, I think I met him at one of your events. And so our industry is very small, but it's very big. And people, that are in construction that they want to help each other,
Hmm.
especially when they're going to be basically neighbors on the same block. And
Hmm.
you want to make sure that, because you're going to get overflow traffic, they're going to get overflow traffic, and but it was really cool to see that there was camaraderie there and that, you know, that people, want to help. And that's what it's all about. And if you don't ask, you don't know. So after I was like, I don't know, I'll send an email. And boom, the guy came back and I said, "Hey, I'm going to put you two through and I'll let you get two take over here." And they both finished their projects. And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of cool people that I've met over the years. And
You've always been great at that. That's one of the things I think, yeah, it's just one of your skill sets is just connection and bringing people together in unique ways. And I think I truly feel like you find purpose and meaning by being able to connect others and help others succeed. And that you're in the right field with what you do because that's everything that, all the conferences you did and the magazine and that at the end of the day is what, as humans, we find purpose and meaning is true happiness is when you're able to help others succeed, and that's lasting, and you're doing that.
I run 5 to 7 miles a day. Last year, I was doing positive thoughts. I ran about 2,100 miles. And this year, I decided to do a word of the day. And all the words that I use are called connector words.
Mm,
And what I mean by connectors are you can use it as an adjective or a verb or a noun, whichever way you want to use it editorially, but they're all connector. They're all words that if you want to succeed, you got to take action. and then you got a longer journey. You're going to learn things, and then but they're all taken to say to improve. You got to take action. They're connectors, and if you want to be fabulous or tremendous or enthusiastic, I mean, I think yesterday I used sustain. How do you sustain momentum? And uh, I don't know. I don't know if it was in me. Maybe I learned it along the way. I have no idea, but I think it was more of an athletic thing because I was always an underdog and I always just wanted to do things. But the connector thing definitely hits home with me because that's what I, pitch every day on my little run video when I'm, either warming up or sweating down.
Hmm.
And but if someone was out there in commercial construction coffee talk land and they wanted to reach out to you and maybe bump some questions on about, hey, how do you do that Friday afternoon gig with your hub thing? Or they're looking for, maybe they're another franchisee that's coming into, the Southern Florida or Central Florida area and they're looking for an architect, engineer, or design. How would someone reach out to you or your team?
Yeah, sure. So definitely through LinkedIn, I'm on there all the time. Direct message me through there. If not, my email, hopefully you can provide it out to people, which
I
is
will.
P Ringlever at interplanllc.com, or on our website. There's a way to get in contact with us there too. So I would love to connect with the industry in deeper ways.
All right, all right. And listen, I'll put all this in the description. I'll put some captions in here when I'm doing my editing. But uh, listen, Interplan's been around a long time. Patrick's taken the lead and the reins, and that stage code is now done. And just did his Chicago's office. He's got a couple other things he's not going to divulge, but that's really cool to know that he's got things up there and in his mind that he's going to go. And don't be shy. He'll answer your questions. And hey, maybe you're from Holland and you can talk Holland with him, or you can
Yes,
talk Ireland
break
with him too.
Nederlands.
I'm sure he knows everything about those things, let alone Central Florida, or maybe you're an alum at Central Florida. So you never know. The world, 8 billion people, it's still a small place, you
We would
know.
love to welcome anyone in our office for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So, if there was one positive thought or phrase that you'd like to leave with our listeners, we're just about finishing the second month in Q2, getting into the last month of Q2, and then the summer, and then before you know it's going to be the end of the year. What would that be?
Can I make it a positive phrase than a
Yeah,
word?
yeah, go for it. Yeah, that's fine.
So one of the books that I read a few years ago was by Brene Brown, Dare to Lead. And uh, the sentence that stood out to me the most was clear is kind. And as I shared, we have that sign in our office that said kindness matters. And empathy is one of our skills, yes, but clarity is how we honor others. And so whether it's with our team or our clients or our partners, being direct and transparent and clear is one of the kindest things that we can do. So it builds trust, it set expectations, and it creates space for real connections. So for me, it's something that we talk about here often. To be clear is to be kind. And so yeah, I love Brene Brown and the way she worded it, and that's what I want to leave the audience with.
Guess what? I've used clear this year and I've used kindness as my one of my two words. I'm going into 4.5 months of words, and those two are in my verbiage. I always tell people any word I give to you any day, they all should be in your verbiage, they should be in your characteristic, and some days you will use them and some days you don't. But if you learn all of these words, oh my God, you're going to be that much further ahead personally, financially, business, health, whatever. You can apply it, and so that's awesome. So, uh, a couple things. Oh, if anyone wants to reach me, I'm at David C at ccr-mag.com. And listen, I knew Patrick, but his cohort, Rachel, sent me a press release about the Chicago office. And I said, hey, you guys should be on the podcast, blah, blah, blah. And then this is how Patrick got on here. So listen, if you've got content, it could be an anniversary, it could be a new office opening, it could be a new product, it could be a case study, scholarship that you're running. Don't judge a book by cover. Send it to us. We love content. I'm a content creator. I've got two nice ladies up in Chicago. They post for me all day. And we get it up there. We make sure it's Google index, it's meta tags, so Google's happy. It's good for your SEO, search engine optimization. That's how Google finds you on the website, and then you can share it. It's a win-win. So it's like playing the lottery. If you don't buy a ticket, you can't win. If you don't send me something, I can't find a place. Very tough to get in the magazine, but we have all these other platforms we post all day long. So send it to us, and we'll generate some traffic for you, and it's a win-win because, like I said, we're looking at. And one of the things that I learned is, as I said before, in the opening with Patrick, is there's more to work, that life than just work. And if there's an opportunity that I can put something up on the web that you can take as a value nugget and apply it,
Mhm.
that my job as a publisher is to make you read the magazine cover to cover. Now it's just like, hey, I just want you to take a value nugget and be able to apply it. And then if you work on that every day, and at the end of the year, you'll see it changing yourself. You'll see your mind will, your cohorts will, your teammates, your coworkers, your spouse, your husband, your wife, your kids, even your pets. They'll see a difference in you. So, uh, and it's crazy, but that in a 24-hour period, you talk to X amount of people, and
Yeah.
but it's so important. But here are three things I want to talk about. Number one, if you're on the construction site, we want you to be safe. We want you to get home, be able to have dinner with your spouse, your family, catch some tube, get some REM sleep, and get up, be able to do it the next day. Number two, hey, just yesterday the humidity had kicked in, so it's the same thing. I got to come home, I got to hydrate, I got to liquefy myself, put some protein in me. Same thing on the construction site. If you're drinking water on the site, put a little electrolytes in your bottle. Make sure you stay hydrated all day. This is the athlete in me. If you get dehydrated, you make a lousy pass. You get headaches, you get hurt. We don't want anything to happen on the construction site. So if you drink a lot of liquid and water, put the electrolytes in there. Number one, you're going to have a great day. You're going to sleep better that night. You're going to be so much more energized the following day. And you'd be amazed at if keeping yourself liquefied is so important on the job as well as your health and your sleep. And then finally, hit the like button. So on everybody can find the algorithms on YouTube. They'll shoot this out and hear Patrick's story in his fluffy cape that he wore on a Friday afternoon on LinkedIn, which is one of my favorite pictures ever. And take it for what it's worth. But hit that like button. We really want to get this uh, episode out there on the wild, wild web. So, any last thoughts before we sign off, Patrick?
Nope, just want to say thanks for all you do for the industry. I really do appreciate that level of connection that you bring. And thanks for this opportunity.
Absolutely. So, sign off from Orlando. Say goodbye.
Goodbye, industry.
All
See you,
right.
David.
And I'm going to sign off from Sugar Hill, just below the Beaver Dam on Lake Lanier. Oh, it's probably about 25, 30 miles north of downtown ATL, which is the LA of the South. And soon I'll be up at my house and can't wait to move in. And appreciate you all finding us. And with that, listen, today's Thursday. Got TGIF tomorrow. You got the weekend. You got a short week next week. You got Memorial Day weekend, and boom, May's over, and then here come the summer months. And remember, drink that, stay cute, stay liquefied because the heat's coming, man. God's gonna flip that switch, and it's gonna be the dog days of summer. And as Patrick knows, live in Central Florida, it gets hot and humid. Just like here in the ATL.
We're there already for sure. It's here in Altamont, just out in downtown Orlando, and we're into the 90s for sure. Hey,
Yeah,
David, if I could leave one request with the audience, I do
yeah.
want to connect with as many people as I can on LinkedIn. I like to post things of the things we are doing from a culture. There's many things we do operationally. Those kind of are things on a daily basis. And so hopefully the people can find positivity in the things that I do post because I think it brings value to not only our company, but to other people as well. That I just want to be able to pass that along. And if it inspires somebody or helps them through a moment that they're going through because of the speaker and the concept or the idea that that person shared, I want to get that out to as many people as possible. So look me up on LinkedIn and please connect.
Like I said, I'm going to put Patrick's. I'm going to put him in the captions here, and I'll put his contact info down underneath his description, and you guys can connect. Either there on the phone or whichever. So we'll definitely make that happen. So
Yep.
Patrick, pleasure talking to you. You're an icon. You've made it through the ranks, and now you're leading the team. And I'm honored to have you on here. And I'm glad we were able to give you, some, PR in the magazine as well as on the web. And with that said, everybody out there, Commercial Construction Coffee Talk. Have a great rest of your Thursday, TJF tomorrow. And like I said, Memorial Day is coming up next weekend. That's a great holiday. Make sure you have fun and enjoy the time off, and then get ready, man, because the last month is waiting for us, and then boom, the second half of the year, before you know it's going to be December 31st. We're going to be, saying goodbye to 2025 and hello 2026. It's an amazing time to be alive. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on or whatever you're doing business wise. It is amazing. There's so much going on in the world,
Agreed.
and it's crazy. It's all positive, and just take it as, because I think you're just seeing something in history that you're never going to see again. So
Agreed.
just take for what it's worth, and if you can find a couple nuggets to notch on, that's even better. So with that, we will see you next time on another episode of Commercial Construction Coffee Talk. And Patrick, if I get down in Orlando, I want to see one of your projects. All right,
Please,
take
for
me out.
sure.
All
Come
right,
see you.
and I want to see that fluffy coat. I guarantee it's
I'm
sitting.
gonna bring it out for you. I still got it. Don't worry.
All right, all right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Cheers.
Thanks, David.
See you, Patrick.